The project is more than just the car. The project is speed. What's up everyone, I'm John, this is Project Speed, and this is our first project car, a 1999 Series 8 Mazda RX-7. I picked this car up from Japan a few months ago. The import guys helped me import it. We found it on goonet.com. By the way, if you're interested in picking up a imported JDM car, goonet.com is a great resource. Rather than going through the auctions, which don't tend to have the best cars out there, goonet.com allows you to search a wide array of actual dealerships in Japan, and you typically find a lot better cars. You do typically pay a bit more, but the quality of the car you get is more assured, and you'll be much happier, I think, in the long run. As somebody who has imported cars from both auction and goonet.com, I highly recommend it. This is not sponsored. I just wanted to give that out there because I know a lot of people are importing JDM cars right now, and I think that that's a very slept on approach to take. I've always wanted an FD RX7 since I was in high school. So I decided to take this opportunity and pick it up. This is a forever car for me, and I want to build it right. This is going to be my Mona Lisa, so to speak. If you're Tokyo Drift fandom, you'll know what I'm talking about. So with all that said, let's talk a little bit about what's already done to the car. As I mentioned, it's already pretty heavily built, but also what I plan to do with it going forward. So let's talk a little bit about the engine in this thing. So it's already got a single turbo conversion using the Greddy turbo kit. I don't remember off the top of my head what size turbo is, but it's a mid-size turbo. It's not super large, but it's also not super small. Good for about 400 horsepower at 16 PSI. Kit was modified, has the Greddy V-mount, but the turbo kit was modified for custom intercooler piping routing and it has custom titanium intercooler piping. They did weld on an elbow onto the turbo to make that kit as short route as possible. Greddy turbo elbow. It's got all aftermarket fluid reservoirs. It has an engine damper, which I'm not sure what brand it is. I never seen that before, and I can't really tell from looking at it. It might be some cheap brand, it might be legit, I don't know. If anyone knows what that brand is in the comments, let me know, I'm definitely interested. And it has a Greddy Airnex air filter. This car was built with basically the Greddy parts catalog. A lot of the stuff on this car is Greddy. Pretty much all of the performance stuff in this car is Greddy, except the exhaust is a full titanium Feast Power, let me double check that. Titanium Feast Power exhaust on it, full header back. It does have an Amemiya titanium high flow cat as well. Has some Apexy bracing underneath. It's all controlled by an Apexy Power FC. We'll talk about it in a little bit. I'm going to be converting this to a Haltech. One other thing I want to mention too about the power is that on the Amemiya hood, whoever built this car took great care to cut out a section of the hood so that both sections of the burnt titanium intercooler piping as well as the Greddy logo on the couplers show through, and I thought that was a very artisanal take on this car, and I appreciate it greatly. Also, cutting a $3,500 hood takes a lot of balls, so props to that guy because he did a fantastic job. I think that's it in terms of power, so let's talk about the suspension. I'm still trying to find the original owner of this car because I'd love to talk to him, but I'm 90+% sure that this car was a track car when it was in Japan. Just the way it's set up and the way it was configured just very much feels, as somebody who has a lot of experience on the track myself, it feels like it was set up to be a track car. Tons of bracing underneath, as I mentioned, the Apexy bracing. It also has the higher end Apexy N1 coilovers for track use. Extremely stiff. That might, another spoiler alert, that might be something I change in the future. We'll see. It has endless brakes on it right now, or brake pads on it right now. It does have the larger Series 8 brake calibers. It also has Project Mu stainless steel brake lines. All the arms are OEM from what I can tell, but every bushing in the car has been converted to a spherical bushing that I found at least. The car rides extremely tight. It turns on a dime. It's like pinpoint accuracy kind of deal. So it's a very well set up car. I was kind of impressed that rather than just replacing most of the arms, they kind of just stuck with most of the OEM ones and just replaced the bushings. But the suspension in the FD is kind of unique. So I don't know, I'm still kind of new to these cars, so I'm learning as I go here. Most of my experience is with Evos, so this is a whole different world for me, but we will see what happens. The car is sitting on Work Emotion Kais, I believe. They could be Kiwamis, but It's hard to tell the difference between those wheels. I'm not an expert on working motion wheels. If you know which it is, let me know. And it is wrapped in Hankook Ventus V12 Evo tires. They're just some all seasons up here during the winter months. It gets really wet, rainy, some snow, so I wanted something that was a little safer than some summer tires. When it gets to summer, we'll be getting a new wheel setup with new tires and everything, so don't worry about that. I'm not a huge fan of the Buzz Lightyear status it's got going on with the green calipers and the purple lug nut, so I promise you that will be something we change as well. So we've talked a bit about the technical aspects of the car. Let's talk a little bit about the exterior. It has about half of the Amemiya kit on it already. It has the dry carbon hood, aero catch hood pins, Amemiya front bumper, the Amemiya front diffuser. It also has the Amemiya side skirt extensions, not the side skirts themselves, but just the carbon extensions. And it has the Amemiya carbon wing. And lastly, it has the Amemiya fender vents. It also has the pop-up headlights still, which when I first imported this car, I was kind of dead set on doing the Amemiya projectors. Since I've had it, I've actually grown to really like the pop-ups, and a lot of my friends were kind of shunning me for wanting to do the projectors. Apparently, some people think those are rather corny. I like them, but to each their own, I guess. The OEM side mirrors on the RX7 are mounted to the door, and there are 2 holes in the door for both those mirrors on. They have shaved those and replaced them with some, I don't remember the brand off the top of my head, side mirrors that mount to the pillar instead of the door. This does make finding aftermarket mirror options difficult, so that'll be something we will have to address in the future as well. So the last thing I want to talk about is the interior of this car. As you can tell, I don't fit super great in this car. In fact, even just sitting normally, my head almost touches the ceiling. Just as it is, there's no way I'm getting in here with the helmet. So one of the things we absolutely have to do to this car is lower seat rails. Thankfully, it already has a set of aftermarket Recaro SR7 seats, I believe they are. I also added this flip steering wheel thing. This makes getting in and out of the car easier. Otherwise, as you can see, the steering wheel kind of like sits in my lap. And I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I'm only 5'11", so someone who's 6 foot even would probably have a lot of trouble fitting in this car. The one thing I did add was a Greddy steering wheel. This is the Greddy Momo collaboration steering wheel. I also, just kind of as a bit of an accent, I added some Greddy steering wheel bolts. It does have an HKS EVC boost controller, some brand of turbo timer. It has a Defi boost gauge as well. As I mentioned, it is tuned by Apexi Power FC, and it does have an FC Commander. The one that was in here was the very old one, and the screen was like super dim and like you could hardly see anything on it. So I upgraded to the newer FC Commander. Kind of sticking with the Greddy theme of this car, I have a Greddy shorty shift knob. Other than that, one of the biggest things I wanted when looking for a FD in particular is a mint interior. And I think that out of all the FDs I looked at, this one's interior is like as perfect as I can get. I really wanted to make it a point to get one with the cleanest interior I could find, and I think I pulled that off. It does have a Corazia, which is like, from what I understand, is like the JDM version of Pioneer. Head unit has Apple CarPlay wired only, so one of the things I want to do to it is convert this to, they make these little dongles for converting wired to wireless CarPlay. That's just a minor thing I want to do for quality of life. And other than that, super happy with the interior. Everything works. None of the electronics are broken. That's something else that's common in these cars, is like the pop-up headlight switch is broken or the window switch doesn't work. All the stuff is really well maintained, well taken care of. I'm super happy with the interior of this car. But one other big interior piece they did was they moved the battery to the back of the car, and they built a really nice aluminum box for it. Super sturdy, super nice and flushly mounted. It doesn't look janky at all. Everything's hidden. It's super nice. One thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the power part of the car, this is the one performance mod I did to this car since it arrived here, is I did a full radium fuel system in this car. Basically ran all new fuel lines from front to back. They replaced the fuel rails with radium fuel rails, both the primary and secondary. Went with some Injector Dynamics IDX 1050, I believe, 1050X injectors, both for the primary and secondary. So in these cars, the fuel filter is in a really difficult spot to service. Since I wanted to replace the fuel filter anyway, I figured I might as well go with the radium fuel filter relocation kit, so that not only adds a much better, much higher flow fuel filter, but it also relocates it to a much more serviceable position. Obviously also went with the radium fuel pump hanger with the built-in surge tank and the dual pump setup with 2 AEM 340 fuel pumps. And that's pretty much all the mods that are currently on the car right now. We've talked a lot about what was already done to the car. Let's talk a little bit about what we are going to do to the car. As I've kind of preluded a little bit to this already, but the car right now runs and drives pretty well. It still breaks up a lot up top because the coil packs are not in great condition on this car. Because of that, we currently have the boost turned down to about 12 PSI, and we'd like to run it about 16. One of the first things we'll be doing is a Sake Bomb coil and plug conversion kit. That has been ordered. It has not arrived yet, but it will get here eventually. Along those lines, I want to convert the Power FC to a more modern Haltech S3 setup. That allows me to do things like connect my phone to it. It also has a lot of safety features built in that, in my opinion, especially for a rotary, is extremely beneficial. As far as performance goes, though, that's it. That's all that really needs done. I did mention also I want to get a new set of wheels and tires for the summer that I will kind of swap back and forth. And this will let me run a better summer tire, but also run some all seasons during the winter. Plus, the work and motion are nice, but I think there's some better looking wheels out there, in my opinion. And it'll also let me go with a slightly different color that I think matches the white a bit more. I also want the brakes on this car need fully refreshed. The rear pads are pretty much entirely gone. The front pads are pretty close. The rotors are all shot. The rotors for this car are actually kind of a pain to get. The Series 8 in particular, the Type RS and Type RZ, this is a Type RS, I failed to mention that, have the bigger brake calibers, which means that the rotors are also larger. The Series 8 was only made in Japan, and in America there are no other cars that share this rotor size, so none of the American aftermarket rotor manufacturers make a rotor for this. And of course, you know, getting OEM rotors, I don't want to do that. So the oil was actually in really good condition, so I suspect the other fluids are also in great condition. As I said, I got this from a dealer. I suspect the dealer changed all these fluids anyway, because most dealers do when they sell a car. Also, when I'm doing the brakes and also the tow hook, I don't know if you can see it in this shot, they're all like painted this ugly lime green. As I kind of mentioned, I wanted to move away from the Buzz Lightyear spec, we jokingly call it, on the wheels. So I am going to paint the calibers. I'm going to stick with the OEM upgraded calibers rather than going with the big brake kit. I just don't think it's necessary in this car. The engine bay. The engine bay is probably the ugliest part of this car in my opinion right now. It's like, I like the design of it, but the paint in the engine bay is not great. A lot of the parts in the engine bay have like rust or oxidation on them, so I have access to one of those laser rust removers. I'm going to take things like the intake manifold and the engine damper, things like that, just like things that have some exposed metal that is rusted a bit. I'm gonna get all that rust off, maybe recoat some of it, and then also a lot of the bolts in the engine bay are completely rusted to crap. I have a full engine bay bolt kit for this car that I'm going to be installing as well. As you can kind of get the feel for this car, since it's already so modified and so well done, I don't need to do a whole lot to it. So this is more of a refresh slash refurbish of this car rather than a full-on build. When we get the future builds, we might be going a little further with some of those, but yeah, we'll talk about that when we get there. The last thing, which I already kind of mentioned as well, is I do need to get lower seat rails for the Recaros. If I plan to ever track this thing, there's just no way I'm fitting in there currently with the helmet. It's already super tight and kind of uncomfortable in the street. I think lower seat rails will give me that extra headroom that I need to sit a bit more comfortably. So that's all I have for you guys for this video. I know it was more of just like a gap session, but hopefully in the future videos we can start actually building out these cars, and I'll be introducing other cars as well that I have that will be working as projects as well. We may or may not complete one build at a time on this channel. We may swap between builds just kind of as parts arrive and we get everything planned out. It's gonna take us this is our first attempt at this, so it's gonna take us a little bit of time to, you know, get the logistics figured out, so bear with us. If you like this kind of content, please hit the subscribe button below, hit the like so the algorithm picks us up and shows it to the right people. If you really want to be notified, hit the bell icon. You know the drill, all that jazz. Hope you tune in next time for the next video. Shouldn't be too far away. See you next time. I'm John. This is Project Speed.